How is everyone doing today? Let's talk about the BBC News interview with Azerbaijan President Aliyev and their discussion about Julian Assange, if you want to call it a discussion. Anyway, here is the meme of the day. Hi, I'm Julian Assange. I give private information on corporations and government to you for free, and the media calls me a criminal. Hi, I'm Mark Zuckerberg. I give your private information to corporations and government for money, and the media called me Man of the Year. All right, guys, before we get into the good part of this interview with the BBC, I will put a link to the entire 48-minute interview with President Ilham Aliyev of Azerbaijan and BBC News. So when you have time, I suggest that you watch the full interview. It is excellent. Here is the segment where they discuss Assange and, the president of Azerbaijan just completely crushes and demolishes this BBC News reporter. Let's play it.
There have been no restrictions. And the number of internet users in Azerbaijan is more than 80%. Can you imagine the restriction of media in a country where internet is free, there is no censorship, and there are 80% of internet users? We have millions of people on Facebook. How can you say that we don't have free media? This is, again, a biased approach. This is an attempt to create a perception in Western audience about Azerbaijan. We have opposition, we have NGOs, we have free political activity, we have free media, we have freedom of speech. But if you raise this question, can I ask you also one? How do you assess what happened to Mr. Assange? Is it a reflection of free media in your country?
We're not here to discuss my country.
Let's discuss.
No, President
In order
Aliyev.
to accuse me, saying that Armenians will not have free media here, let's talk about Assange. How many years he spent in Ecuadorian embassy? And for what? And where is he now? For journalistic activity. You kept that person hostage, actually killing him morally and physically. You did it, not us, and now he's in prison. So you have no moral right to talk about free media when you do these things.
Returning to the conflict.
Better return to the conflict, because this is not what you like. You like only to accuse, only to attack. But look at the mirror. Look, I tell many times, before coming and lecturing us, and in your question, accusing me, it's not a question, it's accusation. You talk like a prosecutor. Why? If you're so democratic and so objective, why you keep Assange in prison? For what? You keep him in prison because of his journalistic activity.
I'm not keeping him in prison, President Aliyev. But
You don't like this.
It's not a question I don't like.
You are not used to this.
It's not the
Because
subject
you
of
are
our
used only
interview.
to attack.
It's not the subject of our interview. And with respect,
It is
President
not the
Aliyev,
subject of interview, but you raise it.
you raised it.
No, you raised it.
You raised the case
You
of
said
Assange.
Armenians, if you don't have a free media in your country.
Now, look, I am not a fan of President Aliyev, but in this case, he was spot on. The tweet reads, the BBC hadn't prepared for this moment, and it was beautiful. Absolutely, they did not prepare for this whatsoever. Yes, the BBC raised this question because they started to bring up press freedom and whether Azerbaijan was going to have press freedom vis-a-vis Armenia and so forth. Anyway, you guys can see the full interview there, so you can get full context. But the BBC brought up press freedom, and President Aliyev, very, very clever by turning it around and bringing up Assange. Very clever. You know, this shows a couple of things. The first thing it shows is that leaders around the world are not scared of the mainstream media anymore. There was a time when leaders around the world would be scared of the BBC. They would be scared of CNN and the New York Times, Washington Post, and all these mainstream media outlets. They're not scared anymore. They are not afraid. They are punching back at the mainstream media lies and hypocrisy. For this, I credit U.S. President Donald Trump. I think he showed all leaders, I think he showed everyone the way to hit back at the fake news mainstream media. And now I know that you are seeing world leaders start to call out their hypocrisy. They are simply not afraid of the mainstream media journalists. The mainstream media, when confronted with truths, when they are forced to look in the mirror, they have no answers. These people are paid actors and actresses. And President Aliyev completely exposes that. He tells the BBC News journalist, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. You are killing Assange, physically, spiritually, morally. And you are going to lecture us in Azerbaijan about press freedom? Look in the mirror. And you know what he exposes? The fact that she doesn't have any answers. He basically shows how empty these journalists are. We are completely propagandized to believe that the journalists at all these mainstream media, TV stations, cable news networks, newspapers, we're propagandized to believe, we're conditioned to believe that these people are the smartest people in the room. And you want to know what President Aliyev has just shown in this interview? They're not. If you go off script, they don't have any answers. She tried to change the narrative. We're not here to talk about my country. We're not here to talk about Assange. We're not here to talk about human rights in my country. She kept on trying to deflect and change the narrative. He wouldn't budge. And he was right. He says, no, you brought up freedom of the press. So if you're going to accuse me and my country about freedom of press and make accusations, well, let's talk about your country, the UK. Let's talk about the BBC. And let's talk about what the BBC and the UK are doing to Julian Assange. Let's talk about that. She doesn't want to talk about it. She can't talk about it. There's not enough up here for her to talk about it. So he completely exposed that. Finally, what this shows is that the persecution of Julian Assange has completely corrupted and destroyed media institutions in the West. There was a time when we thought of the BBC or the New York Times or the Washington Post as the gold standard when it came to media, when it came to journalism. CNN, the most trusted name in news. There was a time that we actually believed that, where the world actually would look up at these people and they believed that. There was a time that we believed that the UK, that the United States, that Canada, that all these countries in the West believed in human rights, believed in the rights of journalists, believed in free speech. But we're seeing now that the world is waking up to the fact that it was all a complete lie. A complete lie. They deplatformed the President of the United States. They don't allow free speech on their social media networks. They create stupid and silly narratives about Russian interference in elections, about poisoning hoaxes in the UK. They sold us Iraq WMDs. They sold us fake events in Syria, fake events in Libya, fake regime change operations, color revolutions. They sold us all these things. I won't say fake regime change operations. They sold us all these lies. And here we are with the president of Azerbaijan going to this BBC journalist and saying, you know what? Your hypocrisy, don't bring it here. Not here, not now. Take your hypocrisy and go away. So we're seeing these institutions in the West are crumbling. They are absolutely crumbling under the weight of their hypocrisy. They're crumbling. All these institutions that at one point in time we all looked at them and said, wow, these are the gold standards. Now they're nothing. Now they're dirt. Complete dirt. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on this interview. I thought, wow, he really hit it out of the park with this one. The president of Azerbaijan. What can I say? Hopefully, we'll get more world leaders calling out these ridiculous journalists at these ridiculous fake news networks. Anyway, guys, that's the video. Locals, Super U, Odyssey. That's where you'll find me. That's where you will find Alexander. That's where you will find all of the Duran. Look for those links down below. 10% off, free Assange, the Duran shop. 10% off all merchandise, link down below. Take care.